Okay, another movie's been released.
Another one.
Another movie. Oppenheimer, or as I call it, OppenhIMAX.
How long have you been waiting to use that?
No,
a while.
I came up with it on Friday, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So
OppenhIMAX.
This is a topic that Andrew's very passionate about. He's been telling everyone about it.
Well, I think you and I have been passionate
Yeah.
about the idea that, we are sort of caught between what customers sometimes like and what the studios want. And, there was a big thing with Tom Cruise coming out and saying, hey, we really want you to watch it the way Hollywood intended. And that's all well and good. If you do it in scope, we can do that. You can even watch that on a TV and you can watch 16:9 on a TV. And you can sort of watch, some other formats on TV.
Dual ratio films like Aquaman.
Yeah.
Andrew
Anyway.
hates dual ratio.
But the point is, bless his heart, Christopher Nolan has just filmed Oppenheimer in massive IMAX format, right? And it's being distributed to some IMAX cinemas on 70mm film. And
The film is so big and heavy that companies have had to modify their IMAX camera thing because it's so heavy.
Yeah. And look, don't get me wrong. I used to work in cinemas. I used to love watching the film come off the platters and going through the projectors and all that kind of thing. It was amazing. But here's the rub, and this is my issue with it, is Hollywood directors say, okay, I want people to view this in its original format. But the question is, how do we do that? In Australia, how many top-end IMAX cinemas are there?
As of today, there are only 30 cinemas around the world that can display true IMAX film format. And I'm standing in front of one of them right now. Not only is this the largest screen, but the only IMAX screen in the Southern Hemisphere.
In full IMAX format, right? Full
so
IMAX
the way
capable.
Christopher Nolan wanted you to watch
The way the director intended.
Yep.
I'm not going to fly to Melbourne or Sydney to watch a movie in IMAX.
Why not?
Sorry.
I love Melbourne.
Well, no, because we've got our own cinema.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But
So-
yes, it is, the director's intent is interesting topic, that's for sure.
So the problem we've got is now, if you were to watch, even if you watched it in IMAX Enhanced or a home IMAX ratio on a TV, guess what? It's going to be smaller than the evening news. Right, for anyone who actually watches free-to-air TV anymore.
Yeah.
So your TV's 16:9, and if you watch IMAX on a 16:9 TV, it's going to have black bars on the left and right. Now, I'm sure that's really not the way it's meant to be seen. It's meant to be seen in an IMAX cinema, but not everybody's going to get to see it. Of all the millions of people who could go to the movies, how many of them are actually going to go to an IMAX cinema? The ratio of actual people who are going to see it, the way the director intended, is going to be very, very few.
Yeah.
And I think that's my issue.
Well, that's kind of like Zack Snyder got criticised for the Snyder cut of Justice League, which was a very good film. The first one was trash. Bigger feud of Warner Brothers. But
in your humble opinion?
In my humble opinion. But his Snyder cut was 4:3. Massive black bars either side.
Yep.
Like huge ones. But that's the way he...
And if you're watching on TV, the ads come on and,
Yeah.
your new set of steak knives is 30% bigger than your movie.
So, and I guess, director's intent, we push it a lot on this channel because for us, it's important to take what Hollywood's done and reproduce it so you're not listening to it on a soundbar on a 50-inch TV. And, not everyone has a dedicated cinema. I get that. But the intention there is, when Andrew's spoken about this before, we get so much data on a disc. There's so much love and time and energy and money's been put for these studios to put all this information on. And it's important that we do experience that the best way. However, there's a limit.
Yeah, and
So-
what do we do when the way the director intended is not on the disc per se? Not really. It's not going to be like being in an IMAX cinema. It's not going to be the way you see it in a normal cinema. It's not going to be the way you see it really on a TV. And it's not the way you're going to see it on a scope screen. It's like, well, what are we going to do now? So, I love scope. I think seeing a 16:9 screen suddenly widen up and fill your peripheral vision, and also it's practical too, is because a lot of houses don't have high ceilings. So if we were to put an IMAX enhanced screen, how, because we've got to drop the height, how wide is it going to be? So scope is a wonderful format for giving that cinematic impression, except now we've got, directors who are doing these things and making it very difficult for us to meet the request of please watch it the way the director intended. And that's kind of my beef. And that's much as I think I'm going to love the film. I think I would love to see it in
There's no
original
CGI
IMAX.
in this film, by the way.
Yeah, look. I think I'm not taking anything away from the fact that the way it's been done is going to be, I think, spectacular. And that's speaking of someone who hasn't seen it yet. But it's like, please, I would like to experience this in awesomeness at home. How am I meant to do that?
Yeah, or even even if we were going to go to a local cinema, you'd be able to watch it 100% to its capability. And obviously in Perth, we don't have an IMAX cinema anymore. There was IMAX in Hoyts. There was one in Northbridge that shut down. But yeah, look, I mean, for me, I'd love to see it in IMAX more than anything. I wanted to see the new Mission Impossible in IMAX.
If we fly to Melbourne to watch this in IMAX, is that a tax deduction?
Well, I think it's tax deduction
for us.
What do they call it? Case study.
Yeah.
Business trip. But but then another question, this may be another video though. Right? Maybe I'll leave it.
No, go on. Go on.
What happens if we bolt a Mad VR onto Oppenheimer?
Oh.
Oppenheimer. Can we linear stretch it?
Oh my God, don't say that.
It's not the way the director intended.
No, not at all.
But I like to fill my screen up.
But yeah. That's user choice, isn't it?
Well, it is user choice. But how good is, like, for instance, we've got some clients that watch boxing and wrestling and Formula One. They linear stretch.
Are you comparing Oppenheimer to the wrestling?
Yeah, because it explodes just as much.
Anyway, look, I hope you get the point. I hope you understand what we're trying to say. We are desperately trying to keep up with what the directors want and intend, and they're actually making it very hard for us. And even the same for a commercial cinema. You will go to a commercial cinema, and what you will see will not be the actual IMAX release that the director intended. It's going to be a version of that. It'll be flat DCI, that's what they call it. And that's it. So, I just wanted to touch on this and say, hey, Hollywood, we really are trying to keep up with you. Please help us out here and make the formats that you produce it in available to all of us. Yes, there'll be modified formats, but that's not the one that the director created it in. And that's
what's interesting with Christopher Nolan, obviously this whole IMAX thing, is that all these movies audio is 5.1 because he's such a... I know the whole IMAX thing is like trying to be old school and trying to give that sense of like grandeur and old schoolness. But I think it's funny that all of his stuff is also just 5.1.
But it sounds great.
It does.
The sound is done really well. Really well. I mean, one of my favorite soundtracks is Dark Knight, right? I mean, just the sound is amazing. So, and again, 5.1 done really well is much better than Atmos done badly.
I just said that in the last video.
Did you?
Yeah. I said Andrew always says.
Where was I?
Better 5.1. I don't know. You were over there. A better 5.1 is better than an average 9.1.
Yeah, it's how it's done.
Yeah.
But again, I was talking to Andrew de Cristofaro recently, and what's sad is, because I was asking about the sound that we're hearing in streaming at the moment, and he was saying how much they tighten the screws on the sound guys to make room for the video in streaming. And I'm noticing, I think, that more and more and more. The more studios try and produce great quality sound. So I was watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Great production. You were saying so this morning, right?
Very good.
Really great. But it's sad to hear that this has been produced in this amazing soundtrack, and now it's being really, really compressed so that they can stream it. And I think...
And this is all your fault, though. I'm pointing at the camera. I'm pointing to the public.
Yep.
Because the problem is, and I think we touched on this the other day, is that there is so much push for streaming services like Netflix and all that type of stuff, but the average person is just watching it on a soundbar. So they're going, everyone's got a TV, everyone's got great picture. Let's give more love to picture and less to sound. And I reckon that has to do with the fact that they know that a lot of people watching this stuff on the soundbar.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's my little rant on OppenhIMAX.
OppenhIMAX. You're never gonna be able to use this again.
Did you like that?
You're gonna end up doing an OppenhIMAX like 4K review video just so you can say OppenhIMAX again.
No. It's good though.
He will, trust me. We'll be back soon with OppenhIMAX review 4K.
We'll see you. Bye.